Starting Chapter 12, SOLIDWORKS Basic Tools, Assembly Motions, a Layout Assembly. It's a different type of assembly used to study the relationship between parts before we, or between sketches before we convert them into three-dimensional parts. It's a pretty powerful way to check out the relationship in sizes before moving on to finishing the design of an individual part. So I've opened up the sample lesson here, and we're going to activate the layout mode by going here into layout and go on the layout icon. In order to see the motions here, we have sketches that have been converted into blocks. And you can see that these are those right here. Each of these is a block. We're going to create a new sketch to add to this selection of blocks. You can see the sketch tools are available in the layout tab. So we're going to draw the figure shown on the top of 12-4. So let's start with the circle, and circle has a diameter of 0.710. Draw another circle concentric with that circle, and this circle has a radius of 2 or a diameter of 4. And let's draw a square. I'm going to go with a center point to select this. And oops, I'm going to move that over there for a moment. Okay. We're going to draw another circle. In this case, it's going to be for construction, dotted lines. Let me give a dimension on this inner circle here. That is going to be 3. And draw a couple of construction lines. I'm not sure they're necessary, but we'll put one to here and one to here. Need to add another circle on this point, and that one has a diameter of, oops, small circle is 0.395. Okay, we got to add some dimensions and relationships. First, this rectangle and this circle have a tangent relationship. I think that's pretty much all we need. Let me trim out some of these items. We don't need this or this. I'm going to get rid of these guys. Clean up our drawing here so it looks like the one in the book. Okay. I believe that's correct. Alright, so now we have our sketch we're going to convert our sketch into a block. To do that, we want to make a box selection around our entire sketch and set of dimensions. So I'm going to just make a big box. Oops, don't want to select that. Alright, we've got our components here, and I'm going to hit Make Block. And you'll notice that there's a new block here. Now, blocks are something that are new to me. Not familiar with this. It looks like it's just a conversion of a sketch so that we can manipulate it within this assembly. Oops, I skipped a step. See if I can go backwards. We were supposed to make an insertion point for that block, and I'm not sure I can do that after the fact. Let's see if I undo that. Here we go. I'm going to try it again. So we're going to select this guy and hit Make Block. And under insertion point here, we want to drag this guy right here to, where's the selection point? So it says drag the manipulator to the center. So we want to drag it right to there. And now I'm going to hit OK. Okay, editing a block. To edit the block, we're going to double click on one of its sketch entities, right click, lines. So let's try that. Right click and edit block. Okay. Don't know why we did that, just to show that we can do it. I'm going to exit out of there. And now we're going to add some relationships between existing blocks. So we want to add a coincident relationship between the center of this small circle and the center of this small circle. So I'm just going to hold Control, select these 2 points, and add a coincident relationship. Now we're asked to add a dimension of 6 inches to define the spacing between the 2 blocks. So say OK here. We're going to go to Dimension, and I'm going to put a dimension from here to center of this, and we'll call that 6 inches. I'm on page 12-7, and we're just going to experiment with the relationship between these blocks by grabbing some points and moving some things around. So this is interesting. This is a great way to establish some relationships without getting heavy into making the three-dimensional parts. Very cool. Alright, so evidently this block that we made is supposed to be called the rotator, so I'm going to rename that. Alright. Next part of this lesson is really just converting these blocks into parts, which is very cool. So we can take a series of two-dimensional sketches that we've created and then created blocks, and now convert those blocks into actual parts that we can use for a final assembly. So we're going to right-click and make part from block. Now we have a part here. So if we select that part and go to Edit Component, select that part, go to Edit Component, we now can do something with this sketch. We're going to do an extruded boss. We don't want a hole in this, so we want to select the whole thing. So I'm going to go to Contours here and select both of these. It's going to be a mid-plane, and then we're going to put a fillet on here. So we're going to go to our fillet command, set it to a 1/2 inch, put a fillet here and here, and now we're going to go to our shell command, and our shell is set to 1/4 inch, and we're going to remove these faces as shown on 12:9, and we now have something that looks like this. And next we need to we hit OK. So now we need to add a hole. So we're going to go to the extruded cut, and we need to select that hole. I don't need to draw a new sketch. I should be able to select an existing sketch. So let's see if we can select this sketch, and then selected contours, and see if we can select that circle as our cut. Come on. Having it. There we go. And we want to select through all, and I think we can go in both directions there. That looks right. We're going to do the same thing with the next block. So we're going to convert this block to the arm. So we right click. Oops. Got to get out of that edit component. We're going to right click, make part from block, and we're going to again on the block option, we need to expand this and select this sketch. We're going to do an extruded boss again. Oops, we need to click here and hit edit component first, and now select this sketch and go to extruded boss. Once again, we're on the mid plane, and in this case we're going to do 1.4 so we have clearance. Okay. We're going to do some a cut so we have room for this other segment of the arm to fit between this piece. So we're going to make another cut. We're going to select the front plane in here. So I need to make a sketch there to do that. On the front plane. And now the book doesn't talk about select the front plane and sketch the profile. So yeah, we have to create a sketch on that front plane. And we're going to start by converting some entities. Convert this. Convert all of these, I guess. And now it shows a circle that's 1 inch away that's tangent to the side. So let's try that. So we'll put a circle in here. Give it a diameter of, whoops. Give that circle a diameter of 1. And I'm sorry, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be giving it a distance of 1. So it's 1 inch away from here. And its diameter is determined by this relationship. So we're going to make these two guys tangent. That looks correct. All right. Now we can trim that out. Somehow I made a mistake here. The sketch. Let me just make sure I've converted these entities onto that sketch. I don't think I ever hit the checkbox. There we go. Alright, now we can trim these out. And that looks like the sketch on 12-12, and we're going to do an extruded cut. So I'm going to exit out of that sketch and go to features and do an extruded cut. And this is going to be mid-plane with a distance of 0.9. All right. That looks right. Not sure why they made that cut the way they did, but that looks correct. Does not look for whatever reason, it looks like they just cut the circle. Not sure why the book doesn't look like my picture here. I've drawn the sketch the way it shows, but it looks like the extrude was different. I'm going to take a second and see if I can open up the finished part. Let's see what that looks like. All right, nope, that's the cut that we made, so we did it correctly. All right. Well, that's good. Nice to have that part to refer to. Because if you look at the top of 1213, it does not look like this cut was made all the way over here. All right, we are going to do the same thing to make this other arm segment and the final segment. So continuing on, get out of this component right here and just reduce these. And let's go to the next one. So we're going to make part and on the block. And in this case, we are extruding 0.4. But first we need to select that and edit components. Open up, grab our sketch, extruded boss, mid-plane, 0.4. And I think that looks like it's awful small there. That was supposed to be 0.8. I looked at the wrong spot on the page. That looks correct. All right, that takes care of the link. Get out of that guy, and then let's take on the last one, which is a rotator. Make part on plane, and in this case, oops, we need to select that guy, edit component, select that sketch, and this is extrude. So we've got extrude. In this case, we want offset. We're going to put in 0.4 and blind, do a reverse direction. Thickness is 0.5. I think that is correct. Something doesn't look right there. I think we need a reverse direction. There we go. Reverse direction on the offset as well. That looks correct now. All right. Get out of that component. Alright, so we can hide the sketches now. I'm on 1214. Evidently, if we right click on this, we can hide this sketch. Hide all the sketches. Alright, and last it says we're going to check interference detection to make sure there's no interference.